Hello again. My name is Marcy Miller, and I'll serve as the facilitators for today's public meeting. I'm with FHI Studio, which is part of the GARD consulting team. The time is 6:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll now start the meeting. Welcome. I'm going to provide an overview of the format for our meeting this evening. This meeting is being recorded. If you do not wish to be part of a recorded meeting, please go ahead and disconnect. The recording and transcript will be posted to the project website. At this time, 8 members of the public are participating in the meeting today. I'm going to suggest a few tips on how to best participate in this virtual meeting. I know many of you are familiar with Zoom, but I'll briefly review a few tips to help you navigate the meeting today. This is a Zoom webinar as opposed to a Zoom meeting. It is slightly different than some more informal Zoom meetings that you may have participated in. To preserve bandwidth and have a smoother virtual meeting experience, you may want to close other programs that are running on your computer. If you have any issues with Zoom during the meeting, we have a technical support person available to assist you. You can reach this person, Laura Nagel, by email at lnagle@fhistudio.com. You can also use the Q&A feature if you need technical help with Zoom. If you are disconnected at any point during this meeting or are having bandwidth issues with your internet, there is an option to telephone into the meeting. You can use the toll-free number on your screen to access the meeting if you are disconnected or if joining via phone is simply a better option for you. That number is 646-931-3860. If you telephone in, you will need to enter the meeting ID, which is 846-3771-3338. The passcode is 594444. Lastly, Zoom can generate closed captions for this meeting in several languages. Please click on the CC button at the bottom of your screen to do this. You will need to select the My Captions feature to select the language of your choice from the list provided. After my short discussion of housekeeping items, I will turn it over to the team to provide a presentation on the signal substation replacements. After that, we will turn to the discussion session when members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and share their comments. Today, all participants are placed on mute until the discussion period, which will follow the 30 to 40-minute presentation. During the discussion period, there are 2 ways that you can provide feedback or ask a question. The first is through raising your hand to speak aloud to the study team and all participants. The second is by typing a question or comment in the Q&A feature. We will accept and respond to your written questions during the discussion period. We will alternate attendee participation between the raised hand speaking method and the Q&A written method. Our goal is to get feedback from everyone tonight. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. After the presentation, at the beginning of the discussion period, I'll invite anyone here to share their comment. You can indicate that you would like to share a comment by raising your hand. You will be identified with a yellow hand towards the top of the participant list. This means that you are requesting to speak. If you are not seeing the raise hand in your Zoom toolbar, you may need to click on Participants in the toolbar, and the button will show up at the bottom window of the participant pane. Please turn this function on so you can see when your turn is coming up. If you are calling in by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand and we will be able to call on you. When it is your turn to speak, I will call your name. Our technical host will then request that you unmute yourself. Please click unmute before you begin speaking. When we unmute you, please state your name slowly and spell your first and last name for us. If applicable, please indicate any organization that you are affiliated with. Please be mindful of time so that everyone has an opportunity to speak. I will ask you to wrap things up at about the 5-minute mark. Please note, if your comments are lengthy, you can also submit them in writing. We will identify ways to do this later in the presentation. All comments tonight will be taken into consideration by the Connecticut Department of Transportation. The comments you make tonight will be recorded and summarized in a meeting summary. As I mentioned, we will also be taking your written questions throughout the meeting. please submit the questions via the Q&A button in Zoom. No person on the basis of race, color, or national origin shall be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. Connecticut Department of Transportation, also called CTDOT, has more information in a civil rights flyer at the website on this screen. They are also asking members of the public to visit and complete their demographic survey at the second link on this screen. We are adding these links to the chat feature in Zoom now. We are asking that any representatives of the media direct their inquiries to the Connecticut Department of Transportation Office of Communications. The email is ctdotmedia@ct.gov. As far as the agenda, we have several items that we want to get through tonight. We are in the opening remarks portion of the agenda now. After I am done with that, I will turn the presentation over to our technical team and they will cover a general project overview, the COSCOB substation overview, and the New Haven substation overview. Then I will facilitate a question and answer session before we adjourn tonight. Before we get into the technical portion of the presentation, I'd like to have several key members of our project team introduce themselves now. Before I turn it over to Yuri, I'd like to let you know that Richard Jankovic, who is a key member of our team, had another commitment tonight and is not here. Yuri?
Thank you, Marcy. Good evening. My name is Yuri Kulgis. I am an assistant rail administrator for the Office of Rail, and I'll go next to Nabil.
Good evening. This is Nabil Chaudhary. I'm a project engineer for the Office of Rail, and I'll pass it on to Seamus.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Seamus Flannery. I'm the supervising engineer over at the Office of Rail and project manager for DOT on this project. And I'll pass it over to Ashish Patel to introduce himself in the GARG team.
Thank you, Seamus. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual public information meeting for replacement of signal power substation at COSCOB and New Haven. My name is Ashish Patel from GARG Consulting Services. I'm a project manager for this project, and I'm also a Traction Power lead designer for this project. GARG is a prime design consultant for this project. We have two sub-consultants, FHI, who is doing the public relation for this project, and a GM2 is performing the civil site design for this project. At this point, I'll hand over to Rodney Bascom from GARG, who will introduce himself.
Thanks, Ashish. My name is Rodney Bascom. I'm the QA/QC manager at GARG, and I turn it over to Eugene.
Good evening. My name is Eugene Chuang. I'm the owner and CEO of GARG Consulting Services. I'll pass it to Paul Goodwin. Paul, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, I'm Paul Goodwin. I'm the structural lead for GARG Consulting, and I'll pass it off to Jeannie.
Good evening. I'm Jeannie Tran, and I'm the GARG project coordinator, and I'll turn it back to Marcy.
All right, thank you. So as you all know, I'm Marcy Miller. I'm based out of our Hartford office at FHI Studio, and I'm your meeting facilitator. Let's get started. With that, I'll now turn it over to Ashish.
Thank you, Marcy. Yeah. Hello, everyone again. First, I would like to give a brief overview of this project scope of work. There are many project stakeholders for this project. Connecticut DOT is the owner of this project. Metro-North Railroad is the railroad operator and the end user at the end of this project. Federal Transit Administration, which is also called FTA, and the Federal Railroad Administration, which is called the FRA, are the fund provider, construction fund provider for this project. We also have some other key member for this project. The town of Greenwich, city of New Haven, Aquarium Water, Eversource, Verizon, FM Global, Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. They are the few key members for this project. The major scope of work is the replacing two existing signal power substations located on a New Haven main line. There are two types of power system on a New Haven main line. One is called the signal power system, and the second is called the traction power system. The movement of railway traffic is controlled by the signal system. The actual trains are propelled by the traction power system. As a part of this project, a total of 2 existing signal power substations are going to be replaced with the new state-of-the-art technology on a New Haven main line. The first site is called the Cascap Signal Substation, which is located in the town of Greenwich. And the second site is in a New Haven rail yard in the city of New Haven. The signal power substation supplies signal power to the signal system on a New Haven main line aerial railroad feeder. We'll be referring Cascap site as a site 1 and the New Haven site as a site 2. The existing Cascap signal power substation supplies signal power from Cascap to the west up to Woodlawn, New York, and from Cascap to east up to New Haven. The existing New Haven signal power substation supply signal power from New Haven west to the Cascap and a New Haven east to the Amtrak division post. Both signal substations were originally constructed in the 1980s. They are almost 45 years old. The normal railroad equipment lifespan is about 30 years old. So these substations are well over their normal lifespan. The existing signal substation equipments are outdated and it is difficult to find replacement part. It also requires constant maintenance, which ultimately affect the railroad operation and the train services. I'll give a brief overview of the replacement of Site 1 Cascap Signal Power Substation scope of work. As we see on this Google image, New Haven Main Line 4 tracks are shown on the north. Existing Eversource outdoor rated substations are shown on a southwest corner. The existing Cascap Park is shown on the east, adjacent to the harbor, Cascap Harbor. The existing Cascap traction power substation and a signal power substation are located between the south side of Railroad Track 4 and a Cascap Park. The Cascap Park entrance and the project site entrance is also from South Sound Shore Drive. A portion of the driveway is shared by the residents of Greenwich, Eversource personnel, and the railroad personnel. So it is very critical that we respect each other during the construction phase. I would also like to point out the closest residential houses are approximately 500 feet away from the project site. This picture shows the existing signal substation, brick and mortar building. A house is signal power equipment. The main utility power comes from Eversource to a separate prefabricated walk-in enclosure adjacent to the existing signal substation building. The signal power is also backed up with a standby generator. There are a total of 2 signal power feeders that come out from this existing signal building and feed railroad signal power. One feeder feeds signal power from Cascap to west up to Woodlawn, New York. The second feeder feeds signal power from Cascap to east up to New Haven, Connecticut. Once a new signal substation being energized, the existing signal power equipment will be removed from existing building. The existing building is in a good shape and there are no other storage available in this yard. So project team decided to leave the existing building as it is after the energization new substation. This picture shows the existing antiquated signal power equipment. This site has a total 2 motor generator set, which receives 60 Hertz utility power and converts it to 100 Hertz signal power. The equipments are noisy. The replacement equipment will be much quieter and more energy efficient, which will help save energy consumption in the long run. Next, I'll be discussing the proposed site layout. It is very critical to keep the existing signal substation running during the construction of this project. It is very similar to keep the existing driveway to Cascap Park open during the construction phase. The proposed site is chosen adjacent to the existing site for various operational reasons. The chosen site is on the corner of Sound Shore Drive and a Casca Park entrance, adjacent to the Eversource transmission pole and a track 4. The entire site is owned by state of Connecticut. We'll see actual site layout in a moment. The installation of proposed signal substation building requires a flat ground surface. The proposed site elevation is much higher than Sound Shore Drive. The existing site is supported by concrete blocks and old railroad ties, which are at the end of their useful life. So the existing retaining wall will be replaced with the cast-in-place concrete retaining wall with decorative foam liner along the Sound Shore Drive and a Casca Park entrance driveway. The wall will also include 8 feet high fiberglass reinforced plastic fence on the top, which will serve as a fall protection. The new walking wall will be constructed for placing a new signal substation enclosure and pulling cable in and out. The new signal substation will be constructed as a prefabricated walking type metal enclosed building. It will house various signal power equipment. A total of 4 traction power signal power transformer will be installed on the backside of the signal substation building. The incoming and outgoing cable will be constructed in an underground concrete encased duct bank. The new signal power switching structure will be constructed to support the new signal power disconnect switches and aerial wires. Another cast-in-place concrete retaining wall will be constructed on the north of the railroad, adjacent to the north parking lot near Station Drive. This retaining wall will provide the safe working environment for railroad operational people. This slide shows the proposed site layout. I understand this drawing shows lots of lines, but I'll try my best to explain the proposed site layout. Orange color block represent the proposed location of signal power substation. The southwest side purple color line represent the new cast-in-place concrete retaining wall along the Sound Shore Drive and the Casca Park entrance driveway. The north purple color line represent the second cast-in-place concrete retaining wall on the north side of the railroad, adjacent to the north parking lot. The yellow color line represent the existing concrete sidewalk. A portion of existing sidewalk may be replaced during the construction phase. The blue color circle represent the proposed location of signal power switching structure adjacent to railroad. The light blue color block represent the proposed location of signal power transformers. This slide shows the elevation view of the new cast-in-place concrete retaining wall with decorative foam liner along the Sound Shore Drive and a Casca Park entrance driveway. The elevation view gives us a good idea how the actual cast-in-place concrete retaining wall will look after its construction is finished. As I discussed earlier, the wall will include a new 8 feet high fiberglass reinforced plastic fence on the top, which will serve as a fall protection. A similar retaining wall will be built on the north side of railroad, adjacent to the north parking lot. There is an elevation difference between the railroad tracks and the north parking lot finished ground level. This slide presents the elevation view of the new walking type prefabricated signal substation enclosure installed on the top of full height walking wall. The fabrication of entire substation enclosure will take place at signal substation manufacturer factory. After successful testing of a factory, the signal substation will be delivered to the project site. The contractor will be using a crane to unload the substation from delivery truck right to the substation foundation. This picture shows a similar walking type prefabricated signal substation enclosure being installed at Mount Vernon, New York. As we can see, this is a typical railroad equipment being installed adjacent to the railroad right away. The recent construction technology is moving away from building a brick and mortar building, which would require a lot more on-site labor work. The signal substation manufacturer would have to send each piece of equipment separately to the job site and assemble it inside the brick and mortar building. So the overall project cost would be much higher than building a prefabricated enclosure in the manufacturer factory. The signal substation is a unique type of substation compared to the utility type power substation. There are lots of specialty parts in it, which require more time for overall substation fabrication. Thus, the prefabricated signal substation enclosure must be constructed in the signal substation manufacturer factory. This is the best way to reduce the overall construction cost. Next, I'll briefly discuss the potential construction impact at CASCAP site. As discussed earlier, the southwest cast-in-place concrete retaining wall construction will take place during the initial phase of construction. So the pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic may be impacted at Sound Shore Drive and entrance to CASCAP Park driveway. The existing sidewalk leading to the CASCAP Park may be temporarily relocated during the southwest retaining wall construction. The approximate construction duration for this retaining wall is about 4 months. The proper maintenance and traffic signage will be provided prior to retaining wall construction begin. The temporary construction fence will be provided for safe working environment. The existing sewer, water, and electricity to the CASCAP Park will not be affected by this project. The noise pollution will be minimum because the majority construction will take place during the daytime, except the signal power structure installation work and the final substation cutover work will take place during the nighttime due to the railroad operational impact. The existing entrance to the CASCAP Railroad Station from Sound Shore Drive will remain open during the construction phase. As discussed earlier, the north cast-in-place concrete retaining wall construction will take place again at the initial phase of construction. Some vehicular parking spaces will be impacted adjacent to the railroad on the north side of parking lot. We are assessing option and this work may be performed at night depending on parking lot congestion. The entrance to the north parking lot from Station Drive will remain open during retaining wall construction. I'll repeat again, this entrance to the north parking lot will remain open during the construction. The approximate construction duration is 2 months for this completing north retaining wall construction. Again, the proper maintenance of traffic signage will be provided prior to retaining wall construction begin. The temporary construction fence will also be provided in the north parking lot during the construction. As discussed earlier, the signal substation will be delivered at project site after successful testing at signal substation manufacturer factory. The crane will be set up adjacent to the substation foundation in a state of Connecticut property. The pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic will be guided by traffic police. The substation delivery truck route start from I-95 to Indian Field Road to Sound Shore Drive to CASCAP Park entrance driveway to proposed substation site. The contractor will be using the crane to unload substation from delivery truck to the substation wall foundation. The substation delivery and unloading process may take approximately 4 hours from start to finish. The main goal is to deliver substation at the project site without any type of incident. The proper work plans will be submitted and approved prior to substation delivery date being scheduled. This picture was taken from one of the past projects. The crane is lifting the substation enclosure from delivery truck, placing it on top of the substation foundation. Now I would like to give a brief overview of replacement of Site 2, New Haven site, power substation scope of work. The existing signal substation is in a New Haven rail yard, adjacent to the Fair Street and Union Street, New Haven. The existing signal substation is called the Fair Street Substation 1091 for railroad operational reason. The proposed site is chosen adjacent to Heat Drive off of Water Street. Again, the new substation is being called as Heat Drive Substation 1087 for railroad operational reason. As we can see on this Google image, the New Haven main line tracks and some yard tracks are shown traveling south to north. The existing Route 34 is an overpass bridge on a railroad track. The existing traction power substation is shown west adjacent to Union Avenue. An existing signal substation is located north of Water Street Bridge. We will see in a moment the existing site elevation difference from the street level is about 15 feet down to the track level. This picture shows the existing signal substation brick and mortar building, a house signal substation equipment. The incoming power feeder comes from the Hallock New Haven substation. There are a total of 2 signal feeders that comes in and out from this substation and feeds railroad. One feeder feeds signal power from New Haven to the west up to Cascade. The second feeder feeds signal power from New Haven to east to the Amtrak division post. Once the new substation being energized, the existing signal power equipment will be removed and the existing building will be demolished. This picture shows the existing antiquated signal power equipment. This site has a total of 1 motor generator set, which receives 60 Hertz local utility power, converts it to 100 Hertz signal power. As we can see, the existing equipment are really old and past their useful life. Next, I'll be discussing the proposed site layout. It is critical to keep the existing substation running during the construction of the new site. The proposed site is chosen away from the existing site due to the real estate constraint. As discussed earlier, the chosen site is adjacent to Heat Drive off of Water Street. The entire site is owned by State of Connecticut. We will see the actual site layout in a moment. The entire New Haven rail yard is within the 100-year floodplain. The installation of proposed signal substation building requires an elevated platform to keep away water during the flooding. The new walking wall will be constructed for placing the new signal substation enclosure and pulling cables to and from. The new signal substation will be constructed as a prefabricated walking type metal enclosed building similar to Cascade. It will house various signal power equipment. A total of 4 signal power transformer will be installed on the back side of the signal substation building on the elevated platform. The incoming and outgoing cable will be constructed in the underground concrete encased duct bank. The new signal power switching structure will be constructed to support the new signal power disconnect switches and the aerial wires. This slide shows the proposed site layout. The orange color block represents the proposed location of the signal power substation. Checkerboard area represents the existing old vision trail. The blue color circle represents the proposed location of signal power switching structure adjacent to the railroad. The light blue color block represents the proposed location of signal power transformer. The main line tracks are bit away from the proposed signal substation location. As we can see, the underground duct bank will be crossing under the existing yard tracks. The new underground duct bank will be used to run new signal power feeder from substation wall to the signal power structure adjacent to the railroad. This slide shows the elevation view of the new walking type prefabricated signal substation enclosure being installed on top of the full height walking wall on elevated platform. Similar to Cascade, the fabrication of the entire substation enclosure will take place at the substation manufacturer factory. After successful testing at factory, the signal substation will be delivered to the project site. The contractor will be using the crane to unload substation from delivery truck to the substation wall foundation. I'll briefly discuss the potential construction impact at New Haven. We anticipated the existing old Vision Trail will experience temporary short-term closure during the construction of underground concrete encased duct bank. The noise pollution will be minimum because the majority construction will take place during the daytime, except the signal power switching structure installation work and a final substation cutover work will take place during nighttime due to railroad operational impact. As discussed earlier, the existing substation will be demolished after the new substation being energized. The existing building demolition work will take place during nighttime due to railroad operational impact. So noise pollution won't be a problem at this site. As discussed earlier, the signal substation will be delivered to the project site after successful testing at substation manufacturer factory. The crane will set up at the state property adjacent to the substation foundation. The pedestrian traffic and vehicle traffic will be guided by the traffic police. The substation delivery truck route starts from I-95 to Long Walk Drive to Surgeon Drive to Bury Street to proposed substation site. The contractor will be using the crane to unload substation from the delivery truck to the substation wall foundation. The substation delivery and unloading process may take about 4 hours, similar to Cascade. The main goal is to deliver substation at the project site without any type of incident. The proper work plan will be submitted and approved prior to the substation delivery date being scheduled. Next, I'll give a brief overview of the construction schedule. This slide shows the overall project construction schedule from start to finish. The final design will be completed by September 2024. The contractor will sign the contract with the state of Connecticut, and state of Connecticut will give notice to proceed to the contractor in early April 2025. The actual construction will begin at the end of April 2025. Both sides will be constructed simultaneously. There are some long lead items in this contract, such as prefabricated walking signal substation enclosure. So the tentative date for final construction completion in November 2028. Thank you very much for your support this evening. I'll pass this presentation to Ms. Miller.
Thank you. All right, before we begin our discussion, I do want to point out some ways to be involved in the process and continue to stay involved moving forward. So for the people that are here today, please participate. We're about to start our discussion period, and I do see some comments coming in. But please, if that doesn't work for you, if you're looking at this online later, because it will be recorded and posted online, feel free to email our Connecticut Department of Transportation project manager, that's Seamus Flannery, and his email is listed here. I don't see any call-ins, so please just know it's seamus.flannery@ct.gov. You can also call him. His telephone number is 860-594-2885. I mentioned the post-meeting survey earlier. It's also listed in the chat. Please consider filling that out for the department. As always, we're looking to do as good of a job reaching out as we can. I will say, we're looking for comments so we can move forward with the schedule within the next 4 weeks. So we're looking to close that up on March 29th, 2024. And then, as I've mentioned, this presentation, as well as our recording, it will be posted on the project website that you see here on your screen. All right, so we do have a couple of new people that joined in since the beginning, so I'll just spend 2 more minutes just letting you know how we're going to participate and how we're going to run this discussion. There's 2 ways to participate, and there's verbal participation, and you can write questions in that we can read aloud and answer. So to comment, please raise your hand if you want to speak with us in Zoom. You will be identified with a yellow hand towards the top of your participant list. This means that you're requesting to speak. If you don't see this, click on participants and the button will show up at the bottom of your window. It'll be helpful if you turn this function on, because if multiple people are raising their hand, you'll see when your turn is coming up. If you are calling in by phone, which I don't see anyone here, but that's *9, and then we can see you that way and call on you. When it is your turn to speak, I'll call your name. I apologize for any mispronunciations. Our technical host will request that you unmute. Please click unmute before you begin speaking. When we unmute you, we are hoping that you will state your name slowly and spell your first and last name for us. If you are affiliated with any organization, please let us know that as well. We're asking everyone to be mindful of time so everyone can participate. And if you have a lot to say, I may ask you to wrap things up after 5 minutes. And if your comments are lengthy, you're more than welcome to email Seamus at his email. We will identify this moving forward. So as far as the written Q&A, I mentioned the Q&A button. Click on that. You can type your questions in there, and then we will read them aloud to the group and answer them. One more thing, I would like to alternate attendee participation between the writing and the hand raise. So if you see your hand raise, and I've gone through 3 others, and I move to the Q&A and the written comments, please know I will come back. Our goal is to get feedback from everyone tonight. So with that, I'd like to begin the discussion, and I do see that one comment has come in our Q&A, which I'll read aloud and provide an answer to. If you're thinking about participating in this portion of it, feel free to, at this time, to raise your hand or start typing in your comments. So I did get a comment in from James Michelle, and it says the Town of Greenwich DPW, which is Department of Public Works, is requesting an additional meeting with their internal staff to discuss the work at the substations and the need for various approvals. They would like to be contacted at the email address to coordinate a future meeting. They have a few concerns related to constructability and the placement of the precast building, the closure of the sidewalk, as well as the aesthetics of the area to coordinate with the park. So that is the comment. What I would like to respond with is absolutely. We will follow up with you. You can expect to hear from Seamus after this meeting, probably tomorrow. And we'll coordinate that with you. And we look forward to a good discussion. Are there other comments or questions that people have? Quiet bunch. We'll wait a few minutes if people are typing or, oh, I do see a hand raised. All right, I have Francia Alvarez.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for this presentation that you've done. It's very helpful to understand what the project is. I just wanted to know, when Eversource came in and did a lot of work with their substation a number of years ago, there was a lot of disruption. And from what I've seen with your drawings and everything, it doesn't appear that that is going to be the case here. Will there be any disruption with the trees? Are you going to be tearing out any ground areas, landscaping or anything like that in the process of putting in this substation?
I'm going to turn this to Ashish. Can you provide a response,
Sure.
please?
Yes, Marcy. Thank you for the question. Okay. As we discussed at the CASCAP side, there will be small disturbance, right, adjacent to the CASCAP Park entrance And South Shore Drive, we are building, as you saw in the presentation, we are building the retaining wall. And the majority of retaining wall construction will take place from inside of the state of Connecticut property. But there will be few time contractor might have to go outside closer to the street area to finish some outside work. There is a 1 tree, as you mentioned, about the tree removal. There is a 1 tree is in a property of state of Connecticut, will be removed as a part of this project. But there are some trees adjacent to the entrance to the park will not be touched, and we'll be coordinating with the town in during the further design phase.
Thank you. Well, will you also, will you be talking to the town tree warden also?
That's correct. We'll be coordinating with town of Greenwich, town of Tree Warden too.
All right, his name is Dr. Kramer.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comment? I will say there was one other comment that came in that we did answer in writing, and it was whether or not this recorded would be online. And we did put a link, an answer to that question on there, and the answer is yes. So tomorrow we'll put the recording as well as the slide deck on the project website. Any other questions or comments? All right, we'll wait another couple of minutes. After this is our final slide. I can flash up our contact us information and go back there. We can stay here while we're in our discussion period as well. So if anyone wants to jot down emails, like I said, we will be staying open for comments for another 4 weeks. All right, I don't see anything else coming in. Oh, now I do. I know always.
Hello, it's Francia Alvarez again.
Yes.
I'm looking at the screen, and there's the oh no, your thing is in the middle of this, where we're supposed to go to the survey, but it doesn't have a, you can't click on a link there.
Yeah.
Is
So
it just words, or what is it?
no, so that's a link that will be in the presentation. It is also in our chat that's out there. It's called demographic survey, and I can read it to you. It's also I can go back to that slide as well momentarily. It's https:// two of them bit.ly/ctdot- and then the word feedback. So this is it will be a direct link in the PDF that we post online that you can go there. But I can also, if you will bear with me, I can go to that slide and you can see the email if you can't access the chat right now. I'm gonna bear with me. There it is. Can you see that?
Actually, I can't because it's right. The host will speak to you. Slide is up in front of it so that I can't see it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, bear with me. There we go.
I'm not sure how to get rid of this. Okay.
Francia, can you see the chat?
LLY. Yes, I can see it.
Okay, there's a direct link in there. It's right at the top.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Reach out if you have any follow-up questions, please. Are there any other questions or comments for us? All right, well, with that, the project team will stay on for a few more minutes, but I know time is precious and people probably want to get to dinner. So we appreciate your time. We understand if you need to hop off. So I will formally close this meeting now. We will stay on if anyone wants to speak with us. It is 6:48 p.m. and we appreciate your time on this evening. All right, we have one more question that came in from Pat Rogers. And it says, I sent a question in advance asking about the increase in electromagnetic waves as a result of this upgrade and the possible effects on human health. Can you answer the question? Thank you. Ashish, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, thank you, Marcy. I see the question. So we'll have to get back to you, Pat, about this thing. But back in the days, we have performed some EMI study on a New Haven main line because similar kind of complaint came from the public about this electromagnetic field adjacent to railroad because their transmission line goes over it. And I need to touch base with that study and look at what was the outcome for it. But if I remember correctly, there wasn't any harmful electromagnetic wave was notified under that study. So, but we will dig out that study and get back to you again. But right now, as a part of this project, as I mentioned earlier, signal substation only travel 12,000 volt power on a aerial wire on both sides of the railroad. So they are not like 375 kV line, which a utility company transfer, like a Eversource transmission substation adjacent to our state of Connecticut property. Some of the lines are 375 kV, which are much more higher voltage than what we are transmitting for this substation project. So I can assure you there won't be any damage to public health for using this kind of power, but we'll dig out that study again and officially respond to your question.
All right, any other questions or comments? I see just a handful of us left. We're happy to hang on. Another comment from Jim Gillies. This is a replacement of an existing facility, so no new EMI will be produced beyond whatever exists today.
Thank you, Jim. Jim is one of our team members.
All right, with that, I'd like to start wrapping up the meeting. It seems pretty quiet. We only have a few people on. Please feel free to reach out to Seamus with any questions or comments to the town of Greenwich. We will reach out to you moving forward to set up that additional meeting. And with that, I'm going to formally close the meeting now at 6:55 p.m. And with that, I'm going to stop the recording, so we will pop off. But again, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. Thanks again for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.